It's 8 o'clock in the morning on Friday, June 21st, 2024. And it's a beautiful June 21st. I think either today or tomorrow is the longest day of the year. It's called summer solstice. Is that right? Yes, that's right. It's the spring equinox and the summer and winter solstice, right? So that marks the point in our solar journey where the northern axial tilt, so the Earth isn't rotating in the same plane as the orbit around the sun, right? So it's kind of tilted at an angle. And so that northern hemisphere, that tilt is pointing straight towards the sun, right? Let me put that a different way. The tilt is oriented such that it's pointing as close towards the sun as it ever does, right? And our brothers that live in the south, their tilt is pointing away from the sun as much as it ever will, so they're going to get the shortest day of the year, right? And then in the winter solstice, in December 20-something, the roles are reversed, right? So we'll be pointing away and they'll be pointing towards the sun. And that's what causes the seasons. A lot of people think it has to do with how close the Earth is to the sun, but that's not true at all. It has to do with the hours of daylight. And if you ever want to understand this for yourself, grab a globe, right? And most globes that I've seen, they have the Earth set up on a tilt, right? The same tilt that the Earth is against the plane of rotation around the Earth, the sun, I mean. And grab a flashlight and hold it level with the Earth, right? If you need to, a laser might help a little bit more, but get that flashlight and just kind of focus it on the globe from a distance at the same height that the globe is at, and then watch what happens as you orient that axis in different directions, right? And spin the globe around the axis and notice how long different points on the Earth are exposed to light. And that's how you understand what's going on with the axial tilt in the seasons. The more daylight equals more warmth, more radiation from the sun, and equals more life. And that's what summer is, or at least the beginning of summer. So the temperatures, they follow that by a little bit. So it's not this, some ways it makes sense that this should be the hottest day of the year. But since there's some delay because the sun has to warm the Earth for it to warm up a little bit, it's not the hottest day of the year. That's going to come a little while later. So welcome to summer solstice. Either today or tomorrow, maybe the day after. I didn't check. June 22nd, I think, is what typically is the summer solstice. And so the sun rose up early in the morning. I didn't check the sunrise time, but probably I'd say it's about 6:15, and it's going to set around 9 o'clock. Okay. Now, when we get to winter time, we're going to get the least amount of sunlight around December 22nd, and that's going to be, the sun's going to rise, I think, sometime around 8:30, and it's going to go down sometime around 6:30 or 5:30. So it's not a big difference, but it is enough that it makes a difference. So, and if we were further north, it would be a bigger difference. And once you reach the Arctic Circle, that's the point at which on summer solstice, the sun will go to set on the horizon. It'll just touch the horizon, and then it'll start rising again. So you get 2 days of sunlight where there's no darkness. And so if you're living up there in that area, you're familiar with that. And down here closer to the equator, to the tropics, we don't have as much of a variance. So when I lived up in the Pacific Northwest, summer and winter were very different in terms of the amount of sunlight we would see, such that it was a very dramatic difference. So in wintertime, we'd only get a few hours of light, and in the summertime, a few hours of dark. The sun would set around 10:30 and start rising about 4:30, and things like that. And then in the wintertime, and it's compounded by the mountains that we had, and also the cloud cover we get in winter. So in wintertime, we'd only get a few hours of sunlight, if any at all, because of the clouds in the mountains. So anyway, so summer solstice is here. I just looked at one of the calves, and I wanted to kind of look at how they're doing in terms of health after we did all that vet work on them. And you know, my biggest concern is like this calf here, that wound is still open on the backside there. I don't think it's infected. It doesn't look infected. It's red. I'm just gonna let that go. Hopefully that'll heal up quickly. This calf here in his backside, it looks like it's dried out pretty good. There's a little bit of red. And this one here on the right, I can't even tell. So I think it was only 2 calves that got their horns cut off. And one of them was fairly significant damage to the head there. I think that's the one I was looking at first there. So the 2 rams are back. I don't see where Rammy is. Ah, there's Rammy. Boop, Rammy. Let me zoom in so you can see Rammy too. There's Rammy. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the sheep and then take down the wires to the north of where the sheep are, and then I'll probably set up the next row here, because it'll be soon that I'll be moving them, trying to keep Rammy closer to the cows and the rams. So anyway, I got an email about the drought. It said there's no drought, and no drought's expected to develop in the next 3 months. Another point about droughts that I didn't mention in the video, but you should take this to heart, is that all droughts are local. So you could live in a state that has record rainfall, but for some reason that year the rain seemed to miss your farm. It rained to the north, it rained to the south, it rained to the east, it rained to the west, but it did not rain on your land. And that happens, and it happens more often than people realize. And so just because your state is getting plenty of rain doesn't mean you're getting rain. And so you should really measure rainfall on your own property, and understand that rain translates to grass, right? And the rule of thumb is basically 1 inch of rain is 1 inch of grass, to a point, right? If you get too much rain, the grass isn't like that. But that's like 30 inches of rain, and that's only if the water is all absorbed by the ground, so it all stays on the ground. You're basically living in a marsh at that point, and grass doesn't like growing in those conditions very much. But yeah, so you need to measure rain for yourself. You need to pay attention to what you have growing in your pasture, and you need to take action accordingly. And you need to look in the future. The way you look in the future is you look at your grass, and you compare like what they're eating versus what you have. And so this row, you know, last night I moved them pretty late at night. I don't know how much grazing they did, but when I was walking through that area, I wasn't too concerned with how much they were eating. I would like to go faster, and I think it'd be better for the grass to go faster. So if I did 100-foot rows, that leaves 25 more rows, 24, probably 20 more rows, right? And so that's 10 more weeks. 10 more weeks is 2.5 months, right? If I do 150-foot rows, that changes the math. So that's 300 feet per week. And so that's 8 more weeks. That's 2 months, right? So if I decide to stick with the wider rows, then I have to check to see if the grass is going to regrow at the beginning of the rotation. And if it looks like I go through the rotation and there's not enough grass at the beginning, then I need to sell animals. And at the first sign that I'm not going to have enough grass, I need to sell those animals. I can't wait until the end and sell for economic reasons. The reason is, that simply put, is if everybody realizes they're in a drought, then everybody's going to sell their animals, and I'll be selling my animals with them, and there'll be too many animals being sold and not enough animals being bought. Okay, so you got to realize it quicker than your neighbors, and you got to be first to market to sell your animals while the price is still good. So as for me, I'm not too concerned. I think I have plenty of grass. I think the grass is going to grow plenty well. The first year of drought, 2021, was it? So I got the cows in June, and I think from July, August, September, maybe even until October, we just didn't get any rain. Hardly any rain at all. But because of previous years, and because we had a wet spring, the grass kept growing. So I noticed that when I came back to the beginning, there was plenty of grass, and it really was no cause for concern. It was the next year when we got the second drought back to back that my field turned into a desert. And I have video. Some of my earliest videos were taken in August of that year, and it was dry, and I should have sold all my animals. I really should have, but I didn't. So anyway, that's all I got for you guys. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.